Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. My name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm broadcasting to you today live from Seattle, Washington. And I've got a great guest for the entire hour. And actually, it probably is going to go longer than that because he's got a lot of great information that I want to share with you today. His name is Karl de Leeuw, and he is calling us from merry old England, I do believe. What part of England are you at?
London.
Oh, very nice. I haven't been there. You're on my bucket list, by the way, of
Yes.
Places that I need to get to.
It's a great city, but I'm originally from Pretoria, South Africa, so from the heart of apartheid. But I've been in London and Dublin for the last 30 years now.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So let's talk a little bit about you. You are you're an author, and you do work with. Tell my audience, what do you do?
Yeah, so my background is I'm an accountant in the building industry. So it's not really a profession in the US. It's called quantity surveyors. It's more the Commonwealth countries. So that's what I used to do. Over the last 10 years, I've researched for 3 books, the Dyslexia Code, the Healthspring Code. But this particular book, I researched for 7 years, and it's called the Universe Code.
What's it like to research a book for 7 years?
Yeah, in 2007, I was a quantity surveyor, and then I went into property. I developed property, and I had property in London, Warsaw, Poland, Bratislava, Slovakia, and South Africa. Went over to Dublin with my wife, then my wife and 3 kids from London, and invested in the Celtic Tiger in Ireland. So at that stage, the banks were just giving out money left, right, and center. And it was halfway through the building I was building, and the banks pulled the plug. It was August 2007. The subprime only really hit the world in 2008, but the American subprime mortgages, and the banks didn't want to lend. So that one property pulled everything down, because Irish property prices went down between 50 and 80%, literally within a 3-year period after subprime. So I lost that, and that pulled everything down. But that woke me up. I then started to research the mind, and I didn't set out to write 3 books, but then a series of events then got me to those 3 topics. Actually, dyslexia, because my daughter was diagnosed with dyslexia. I helped her, got me to dyslexia. I'm dyslexic myself. That went into nutrition, because a lot of foods affect dyslexic people, and they take them off the foods and they start getting better. But that was like a year or 2 research. And the Universe Codes, I never knew it was going to take 7 years. But when I was completed with my rough research, I had 1 million words from books, from going to events, and then it took me 6 months, not working, 18 hours a day, to remove 2/3 of the 1 million words. And then I was left with 1/3 of 1 million words, and then I chucked it into 21 chapters. And then once it was in 21 chapters, I removed like a half. So that was duplicated. And then it's like I see my 21 chapters like 21 pieces of a puzzle. It then all made sense for me in any case.
Cool. Well, and doing the type of research that you do, you in 1 million words, you've got quite a lot to say about that topic, and all the topics that you've written about. I want to talk. We're going to talk about two things today. Well, the second thing we're going to talk about, we'll talk about at the end, is you've got an event coming up that I want to promote, and it's called One Soul, and we'll talk about that near the end of our time together today. But I wanted to you've got 3 or 4 different topics that will take quite a little time to unravel and unfold. But I wanted to start with the difference, God and the Creator. Describe what you mean by that and how that plays out for you.
Okay, so yeah, this topic to me, and Kabbalah.com says that if your intent is good, is pure, then everything is okay. So what I'm discussing today is I'm not trying to upset anyone. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. Goal is world peace, and I've discovered via my research that the only way we're going to get world peace is via the truth. So maybe starting with the Creator first. Just out of interest sake, when I sort of discovered what made most sense in my third of a million words that was left, most of it was left was research from the spirit world, mostly 2 angelic entities, and people that communicate with Lippidians and the Arcunians. So that information just made a lot more sense. So people can query it, but if you take the Quran was Angel Gabriel speaking to Prophet Muhammad. So that was an angelic entity, and billions of people now follow that. So the 2 entities, Creon, that communicates with 9 people for the last 20, 30 years simultaneously around the world. But I use the US guy, Lee Carroll, details, and then Angel Margaret via a guy called Jerry Gavin. So what Angel Margaret says about what is the Creator, it's an analogy that she says, or the Angel Margaret says, that it's not far off the truth, and that is that we are the computers, the angels are the servers, and the Creator is the computers and the servers together. It's the mainframe computer. So the string, in string theory, you know that they've proven now that the smallest particle, far smaller than an atom, is just strings. The scientists have 100% proven that. They just don't know if the string touches or if it's just a straight string. And in CERN, at CERN between Switzerland and France, where the collider, where they got the God particle, that particle should really be called the Creator particle. So at the College of Psychic Studies in London, I was taught how to communicate to the spirit world by automatic writing. Now, most people ask to speak to angelic entities or whatever, and I was bold and I asked to speak to the Creator. So I now do automatic writing, and I asked the Creator if the string, in string theory, and the Creator particle, let's say in brackets, God particle, is one and the same thing, and it is. So the way I see it, and from my research, is that we all connected via strings, and all people and the angels together is really the Creator. So it's you get the Big Bang, and this is what the Pleiadians say. You get the fluffy matters. After a while, the fluffy matter become the mineral kingdom, so Earth, whatever, and then you get the plant kingdom, then the animal kingdom, and then humans. So if you believe in evolution, we are with the angels' creation. So that first fluffy matter is the intelligence that then expands, and then later on it contracts again. And then you have another bang, but that's another topic, and that's another chapter on its own.
Oh, very good. So when we are talking about these, well, first of all, let me ask you, um, automatic writing. How did you run into it exactly? How did you perfect it? What's the idea behind it?
Okay, so I was involved at the College of Science in London from about 2012. I just did independent courses as time goes on. And then 2016, I actually moved to Abu Dhabi, UAE, working on a big project there. And I then flew back to London for a Saturday event at 2017. And it's by a lady called Sarah Talavaltis, College of Psychic Studies, on automatic writing. Now, at that stage, I got myself, let me put it this way, I increased my vibration quite heavily already through a lot of research, and I was going to India and all these kind of things. So I was already on a vibratory rejection higher than I would say the average. And also, I've been to a lot of events at College of Psychic Studies, and it was just literally a one-day event. And started automatic writing, and it came. Now, when it came that first day on that Saturday, it took a little bit of practice. It took me about 2-3 months after that before it became completely smooth. And my main website, which is not the One Souls, is actually where people can ask questions for free. 3 questions for free. They can test the curator. It's a website called lightsurfers.me. But maybe that's for another topic. One thing I just forgot on the creators. So, sorry, just before, yeah. So on the creator, well, just before I forget, I tend to, with my dyslexic mind, forget things. So I just want to mention it while I remember. Is that if you believe in evolution, there can only be one creator for everyone. And in my 21 chapters, I only researched the 5 main religions because they make up 75% of humanity. It's not that I didn't want to research anyone else, but how long's a piece of string? So we have to have, if you believe in the fluffy matter, Big Bang, there can only be one creator.
Correct. And that goes, I see from my perspective, that goes without saying. You can't have, it's not like we have 5 or 6 or 7 different gods that are hanging around the stratosphere or wherever they would hang out. It is all one system. Like when you said, we're the computers, angels are the servers, and then the overlord or the god of everything, or the universe as it would, or the creator, is above that. And that just makes total sense to me. In your research, in your automatic writing, is that what they told you?
Yes. So all these years, and my previous 2 books, the Lexico Healthspring Code, I used synchronicity. So I had 50 affirmations when I started. And it's amazing when you ask the universe, the creating universe, how things come to you. And my whole research for my universe code book, I couldn't communicate with the creator. And it was right at the end when after I chucked it into the 21 chapters, I then asked the creator what items to remove. I just literally went, should I remove? Yes, no, do. And so, but then what I did, which is in my Universe Codes book, which is only $3.50 on Amazon, I then asked certain questions to the creator. And I can't always remember, but in the book, I can sometimes sit down with automatic writing and just ask the question again. But yes, there is only one creator.
Now, the name of the book that you wrote is The Universe Code.
That's it.
And you can pick it up on Amazon. And if they want to go look at your website and ask you questions, what's the name of that website again?
Okay, so I've got one overarching website and then 3 below it. So the overarching one is Light Surfers, like light, greatest light, and then surfers, surfing the waves with the S at the end, .me. And then underneath them, I've got one for my dyslexia, one for my health, and then the one that I've got advertised now is the OneSouls.co, which is the event we're going to be talking about. So lightsurface.me, and then on that they can ask 3 questions absolutely for free and test the creator and myself.
Awesome. Now, and we're going to talk, like I said, we're going to talk about this at the end, but one of your passions, one of the things that you really want to bring forward into the world is world peace. That's the driving motivation for you, isn't it?
100%. That's when it comes to the Universe Code book, is world peace. It's time now. The stars are now aligning as from 21st of December last year. It's the real time of Aquarius. It's only really starting now. If you take a lot of astronomers, and certainly the Kabbalistic, which I put on the top of astronomy. And 2021 is going to be an amazing year. And, coronavirus is not coincidental. And it's a reset button. And we now need world peace. But the only way we're going to achieve it is through the truth. The truth will set us free.
According to Martin Luther King, and that is a wonderful statement, because it will. Now, in my frame of reference, in order to achieve world peace, if we were all to understand that we are all one, that we come from the same place, the same creator, and it's all the same system, then wouldn't that go a long way to helping us achieve world peace?
Yes, and that's why the topic of one of my 4 topics that we can discuss later on in other podcasts is reincarnation. Because once people can buy into the concept of reincarnation, then apartheid, racism can disappear. Because if you incarnated if you person from Seattle, and the chance that you've incarnated as a Red Indian before, once you understand that, for world peace it will be amazing. But I think the topic that we're discussing today, the difference between Creator and God, especially for Judaism and Christianity, is important. And obviously, I know Christianity in the US, it's massive.
It is, but what my understanding is that Christianity is massive in the United States, but it's not the same religion if you talk to different people. And some people believe in a Jesus philosophy. What would Jesus do? And other people believe in the traditional Bible. So it's not. It's the same, but it's really different, and we're not. And so even they're fighting amongst themselves as to what is the correct theology and that kind of thing. Your work tends to rise above theology and that sort of thing, doesn't it?
Yes, I don't see myself as a historian. At the beginning of my research, I read the Old and New Testament very thoroughly, and I went into small topics. And then eventually I see myself sort of more having discovered what's been removed from the Bible, from the Old and New Testament, rather than a historian. And I can be criticized because a lot of the information comes from the spirit world and the Pleiadians and Arcturians. But on your point, some of my book I mentioned, they asked something like 90 or so theologians, mostly I think Christians, theologians. Is the God in the Old Testament the same God as in the Quran? And it was something like 95% no. And from my research, they're correct. The God of the Old Testament is not Allah, is not the creator. So in Genesis, when Genesis starts off with the 6 days of creation, that is the creator. But then if you go into Exodus, I don't know exactly where, when you go to Moses, and Moses had this pillar of fire following pillar of clouds. It's in the Old New Testament is referred to about 30 times. One can just Google it, whether it's a chariot or a star. And yeah, we're coming into a very important topic. When I first researched it 10 years ago, I don't watch any Star movies or, the Star Wars or anything. And I must say, I didn't believe in UFOs. And now I'm a 100% believer because I understand all of it. So the God, from my research of the Old Testament, are the Pleiadians. So the Pleiadians are our seed fathers and mothers. They about 1 million years more advanced than us, and they seeded us. So I'm told by Creon, not just myself, in his communication via Peace-Karl, that the missing link is really that our DNA is not from Earth. Scientists are starting to discover, apparently, that if you look at the plant kingdom, animal kingdom, our DNA doesn't match. And it's going to be the same with dolphins and whales. So already our chromosomes are not the same as a chimpanzee. So it was literally the Pleiadians in fancy helicopters coming to Earth. And I've got the full history in my book. I haven't got all the dates now, but I'll give you some. And to cut to the chase, in the Old Testament, Yahweh ruled the Pleiadians and Earth roughly 13,000 years before Christ. Jehovah was the God. So the Pleiadians are people like us. They're just slightly bigger, far more advanced spiritually, physically. They live much longer, and technologically as well. And they have a God. They have a ruler, and that was Yahweh, Jehovah. And the current God that rules Pleiadians and Earth is El, and that's the God of the Old Testament, most of the Old Testament, and
now,
of the Israelites.
When we talk about a God that is ruling Earth, well, first of all, let me ask you where. Because the universe is a big place, are the different entities that you're talking to that have physical form, are they and on other planets, and then they are able to come here through warp technology or however they get here? Because it's a big place. It takes a while to get here. Or are they so far advanced that they can move through space and time without the constraints that we might have?
No, they have the constraints, but they have different technologies. So they surf a certain quantum wave. It is described, I don't have a lot of that in my books, but if you go into the references, I quote all my references in my book, one can get that research. So they physically come, but they have technology that we're going to take many, many years to get to. And just for interest's sake, they mainly stopped coming to Earth, not to everyone, but mostly about 8,000 years before Christ. And the reason being is when they came to Earth, the local people on Earth saw them as gods.
Sure.
And one of the Kabbalah.com secrets is that we need to earn our own right. It's the only way we're going to do it. We need to space travel ourselves and learn how to do it. So that's why they mainly stopped, but they still come. So the crop circles that you get at Glastonbury and places like that, that is signs, energy symbols, but they actually create it. So, they came overnight. The next morning, you've got this massive crop circle. Now, I was in the construction industry, and to create a crop circle like that, if you had to build scaffolding and cut the grass or the wheat or whatever that was there, it'll take you months. And, you'll have to have some kind of, I don't know how you're going to do it, They just do it with technology. And that is to give us hope. Just on the topic of UFOs, very quickly in my research, I saw US fighter pilots talking about that they've seen UFOs.
Yeah, they do.
The Pentagon have now a few times, recently as well, confirmed, and that's great that the information is now starting to come out. Then in the Bible, it's referenced many times. Different societies have referenced it. The Chinese, even 3,000 before Christ, talked about early writings about a man in the belly of a dragon. The Babylonians talked about it. The Egyptians talked about it. There's even a South African guy who wrote a book about it. Local South African and African tribes, exactly the same. Wrist, they were talking about these things on the arms, wristwatches. However, I think there's a lot of misinformation. And I think, and I haven't asked the creator, this is just what I'm thinking. What is the reason why governments, not only the US, wouldn't want this to be known up to now? And that is, if you've got to say to your population that there's someone else in charge, and they've got technology that is far more advanced than a F-35 fighter, that's not something you really want to say. So what would you do? What would I do? I would muddle the water. I will come with people saying there's these green men and all funny kind of thing, which is, the true contactee, according to Bedeans, is a guy called Billy Meyer. He's still alive. He's in his 80s. And he's got a video evidence, and it's in the 1970s. And he's a true contactee. So it's something that's now going to start coming out. And because I think governments haven't got a choice anymore, because people like ourselves discussing it.
Well, as our technology gets better and our video, you can no longer hide something that appears because everybody's got a camera on them at all times. And so more people are going to find that, and more videos are going to come out about things that used to not, an eyewitness account is different than a video account.
Yeah, but before interview, I discussed a lot of things in my book about UFOs. Before, I just went on a website, say famous people that seen UFOs, and there was a lot of famous people. And then the two that struck me was Billy, who was the peanut guy, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
It says he saw it, and I saw that before as well. And then Reagan. So Reagan was in an aeroplane, and they followed. He asked them to follow the UFOs for 2 minutes, and then the UFO just went zip. That's how they, with their technology, that's how they can go from the Pleiades to us, because they've got a different technology, like surfing the waves differently to us. And so, it's Reagan, the guy in charge of the US, and it's a known fact that he's seen a UFO, and yet we dispute it. And I think the reason why we dispute it is because the waters has been really muddled, and I think that was done on purpose, if I had to guess.
Oh, I would think so, because they want to make people who have seen UFOs, they want to make them like nuts, and they want people to not believe any of that. But it only makes sense when you start looking at it, and I'm sure you've done in your research, and you might want to go through this, just how big the universe is, how many galaxies there are, how big we are.
Yeah, so the Bedeans, our seed parents, and the Israeli parents, mostly, they are our seed parents, but their seed parents were the Akurians. And then there's many others, but the Bedeans, so the Indian Asian population is from a different group. That you've got the Lineans as well and others, but the Bedeans is in charge of our earth, and I just sort of focus on the 5 main religions, and so the Old Testament. Obviously, the Christians believe in the Old Testament. So the importance of this is that the gods are quite amazing. They're far more advanced than us, and they were the people that could help the Israelites. They could help Moses in parting the waters because they had technology that we haven't got. For them, it's easy. And that's fine. But, when Billy Meyer found the Talmud of Germaniel, when we discussed Jesus in India, we discussed Talmud of Germaniel, in a grave in Jerusalem in 1963. After that, Iranian guy translated the Talmud of Germaniel, which is the New Testament, which is actually the correct New Testament. The Billy Meyer's people, he's got a whole organization that can show you how the New Testament was taken from Talmud of Germaniel. The Israelis bombed the Iranian guy and killed him. So fortunately, since 63, I was born in that year, so I'm 58 years here. So fortunately, it's 58 years ago, and our times have changed now. You talked about people, Christianity. The younger kids now are indigo kids, which is another discussion which we're going to come on reincarnation, why they're called indigo kids. They're in a different vibration, higher vibration than us already. And so, at that stage, the Israeli just decided, get rid of that evidence, and one of the things I'm going to call on when we discuss Jesus in India is Billy Meyer now needs to release that to the world. It's already on the web, but the carbon dated copy, so that not that we must rewrite history in a sense or have a new Old Testament or whatever. But what I think will be sufficient is to release the information. And then the spirit world says religions will start relaxing.
Now, when we talk about, it just dawned on me. There's lots of things that are on our Earth that are really hard to explain. One of which would be the pyramids in Egypt, on how they were built, and we've tried to figure it out, and we, even by today's standards, don't really have the technology to build the pyramids. Were those designed and built by other folks other than us?
Yes. So the later pyramids, I suppose, like 1,000, 2,000 years before Christ, they were built by the Egyptians. But the older ones, including the Sphinx, the one with the
Shot off these days.
Yeah, that they were all built by the Atlanteans. So I've got a chapter on the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans were destroyed on the 6th of June, actually my birthday. I can't remember exactly. It's like 9,500 years before Christ. They knew the world has been destroyed 4 times by the Creator. And Earth, Earth is actually a living being. If you look at it, it's got the vortexes, it's got the magnetic fields around it, and everything works in tandem through the strings, I assume. And so the Atlanteans knew, because they were very technical, they were very advanced spiritually, that they're going to be destroyed. And they built outposts around the world as well. And just for interest's sake, what they say is that the Sphinx used to have a lion head, and then one of the Egyptians cut his shape of his head onto the Sphinx. But I don't know if you know Edgar Casey's work. I think he's from Virginia in the States. He went under hypnosis, and he talked about the Hall of Records that's going to be found. And that's going to be found in our lifetimes. And under the right-hand paw of the lion is the Hall of Records, which will prove that the Atlanteans were there. And I don't know the information. So what's going to come out in our lifetime is a lot of the things we're discussing now that other people might poo-poo is going to start coming out. And it's actually nice to be ahead of the game in saying that, but it's I'm not just doing it for that. It's we've got to get to world peace.
Awesome. So let me ask you, because the one thing that I cannot get my head around is humanity as we know it. Goes back probably I'm guessing 8 to 10,000 years before Christ. In the Old Testament, in Egypt, excuse me, in India with the Sanskrit and with the old writings. But the Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. 1 billion years is 1,000 million years. That's a long time.
Yes.
So the Creator, have they not created and it's been destroyed? And you'd mentioned 4 different times. That goes back a ways, doesn't it?
Yes. So I've got a chapter that you can pick up for just $3.50. You've already got a free copy of that. That discuss. I took it from books. I give where it comes from. We'll have a lot more information. But the Pleiadians really came to Earth about 400,000 years ago. So that is sort of our history on Earth. So you had the evolution going from the ape, and that's why they've never found the missing link, because there's no missing link. In fact, what happened is from the Pleiadians and other races coming to Earth and then leaving, they go back to their star systems. Man has actually gone backwards in certain. So, but never so much to the ape or baboon or whatever, chimpanzee. So that's why there's no missing link. But the real missing link is really the DNA. They're going to discover it, and that will be the proof. So the proof will be in our DNA, it's not from Earth, and the proof will be when governments now start coming out and confirming, like what Reagan says, like what the Pentagon says, that there are UFOs. And so that people can start clocking on, what's going on in the Old Testament. So just before I forget, so if you take the oldest religion, Hinduism, the Hindus see the Creator in everything, in the Ganges, in a cow. So that is the string theory. That's the Creator. Then Buddha was a Hindu, as you know, and he was brought up without seeing any pain, suffering, and chaos, as the Kabbalists mentioned. And then his father brought him up without going out. He was a prince outside the walls, and he never knew that even someone died. And then one day he went outside and saw what was really going on. And that's when he then left and wanted to discover, couldn't, I assume, understand why would the Creator do this? But this is one of the most important things, is that the Creator gave us free will. And a lot of people say it's the Creator. I always like to now talk about the Creator. It's the Creator, rather than God, that must fix things. It's not the Creator that must fix things. It's us. The Creator first made the angels, then us, and we're in charge of the angels. And it's up to us to make the world a better place. In any case, so Buddha was the master in meditation, because he could really connect to the Creator. Then we discussed the Old Testament and New Testament. Then the Islam, Allah is the Creator. So that is the difference. The difference, just to sum up again, is that all religions have got the same Creator, but interjected is in between Old and New Testament is the Pleiadian gods. So you've still got creation, because gods and Jesus, Jesus in the Talmud of Gamaliel says they're falsifying what I said, and I'm like the Pleiadians are part of Creator. They're born just like us.
Mm-hmm. So the Creator is born just like us?
No, the gods. Sorry, the gods.
The gods are, yeah.
The Pleiadians are born just like us.
So what I'm getting from what we're talking about is that in the grand scheme of things, that there's a hell of a lot more going on than we really have any idea about.
Yes, and on your earlier question, because we only started writing things down like 3,000 years before Christ or something, say 5,000 years ago, a lot of the things would have been passed over from generations before. So that's why when Genesis starts, it talks about creation in days. It's a myth. It's a story that's been passed down in generations.
Right.
So the information we've got is not very exact, because it's what people would have heard from their parents. And a lot of it would have been passed on as stories, like we now passing on stories in songs, all the folk songs in America and whatever. So the detail was very sketchy, where what makes the Quran an amazing document is it was Angel Gabriel, so from the Creator, via Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad sat in a cave, and this guy couldn't write. And suddenly he started writing. After many, many years of soul searching, he started writing. And in Arabic form, the Quran is the most purest document you can find. And it's actually one of the reasons for the Quran is to rectify the mistakes of the Old and New Testament. But then what happened in Islam, which is exactly the same what happened in Judaism and Christianity, as soon as Prophet Muhammad died, people power came to play. So today, I don't know if you know it, you've got 163 different Muslim sects. And they all put a different spin on the Quran. But to make it even worse, they've got the Muslims have got the hadiths, Hadith, and it's what people wrote about Prophet Muhammad and Islam. Some people like 200 years later, and a lot of Muslims now follow the hadiths. What we need to do is go back. There's one website that translates the Quran, which is very old Arabic, into English, and one needs to look at all 7 translations, and you can see the difference. And but the Quran is a highly scientific document. It was Prophet Muhammad like 600 years after Christ, and they're only discovering certain things in the last 100 years or so that was said, 1,500 years ago. It's a highly, highly scientific document, amazing document. But unfortunately, people power took hold, just like what happened in Christianity, etc. And yeah.
Well, it's interesting stuff. Now, I know what I want to ask you. When we talk about the Bible, and we talk about the inspired Word of God, were these folks doing automatic writing like you're doing, or was that just part of their whole deal that they wanted to propagate, that came from their humanity, or did it come from God, or did it come from the Creator?
I'm not, don't see myself as a historian or anything like that. I'm definitely not that. So I haven't. What I'm told about through automatic writing, that about 20% of the Old Testament is incorrect, and 80% is correct. So that's great. But and then reincarnation was taken out, which we can discuss in another session. So I haven't actually. I studied the Old Testament like 9-10 years ago, but I've actually not studied again, so I can't answer you. But if I talk about Moses, at that period, the 5 first books up to, what was it, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, those 5 books, Moses books, when Moses went up to the laws, the 10 commandments, those were God, the Pleiadians. So I believe that most of the Old Testament is the Pleiadians, God. However, different people would have been able to speak to the spirit world and see things in the future. But I cannot. I'm not a. I don't know exactly who, and I haven't researched that.
So when we look at the hierarchy of things, we have the creator. Now, did the creator put these players into position to be able to have to populate the earth and to do it, or was that just free will and those folks that happened to have the technology and wanted to come here and play around?
It's free will, because other solar systems are more advanced than us, and they were created at different levels. So it's the greater. All information I've got on that is that there's 7 great times. There's a chapter on it, which is fascinating reading. But you've got a period of, we are now in this great time, what they call a great time, is a million years, and we are 100,000 years within that period. So the fluffy matter that is the creator, which is the intelligence, expands, and eventually through evolution creates people. Now, in other star systems, they would have been created long before us, and they are the Pleiadians and others that came to Earth. But everything is done through free will, because the creator is the mainframe computer. The creator is not in person.
So the creator doesn't really have a vested interest on what we do or don't do. It's up to us to determine how we will choose to live and how we want to create and to make our planet better. Or if we choose not to, and then the planet will take care of itself and we'll be gone.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, whether the creator's got a vested interest. I would assume the creator, being all the computers with the servers, the angels together, wants to make the world a better place. But it's up to us as individuals, 100% free will, to make the world a better place. And yeah.
So we can do that. Now I want to talk to you. We've got just a few more minutes. I wanted to talk to you about your event. How did you create this event, and what is it, and when is it?
When I decided to research the 5 main religions, because 75% of humanity, and so in the event I've got 4 speakers talking about the 5 main religions. So I see on your website you mentioned the word one. We're all one.
Right.
It's interesting that I came up with the word one souls.
I thought that was interesting, personally.
Yeah, it's so, and we are just all together. When we go to the spirit world, all the souls together is the creator. So we are literally one souls. We are literally one. And that's what the information we've got to get out. So I researched the 5 main religions. So the first speaker is a guy called Tarot Roy. So I met Tarot. So on my first trip to Nepal and India, I've only been twice. I followed the Buddhist trail. So I went to Nepal. At the time of Buddha, there was no such thing as Nepal or India. It was just tribes. So I went to Kathmandu, Nepal. Then I traveled to Lumbini, where he was born, and then to Kapavitsko, if that's correct, where he was where they lived in his palace. Then I went to India to Bodh Gaya, where he sat under the Bodhi tree. But before that, he was in a cave not far away, trying to break through mediation. And then from there, I went to Sarna, which is just northwest of Banaras, which is Varanasi, the most spiritual town in India. And from there, I went to, so that's where Buddha taught mainly. And then, and all these places are big centers. And then the last place is I went to Kushinigar, where Buddha passed away. And it was this small little sleepy town compared to the others. And all these places I stayed in Tibetan monasteries. And I asked the guy in the Tibetan monastery the first night I was there, where's a good place to eat? He said, you've got to go to the Yama Cafe. And who is in charge of the Yama Cafe? So I started speaking to Tarat Roy. Now, this guy is amazing because he's a Hindu, used to be in Nepal, and a Buddhist. And so he's going to speak on both, on how Hindu and Buddhist teachings can help us in world peace. And what's amazing about it is I researched, and the closest I could get to Buddhist teaching was a system called, I just got to quickly look it up. It's called Vipassana. And Vipassana is a method for about 10 days where you meditate, go off food. And that's how I see Buddha meditating. He really meditated for hours and hours under the tree. And Tarat Roy, a lot of Buddhist monks from all over the world come through Kushinagar, and they all know Tarat. Not only is he an amazing guy, so please come and see him the 9th of April in New York at the Hilton Midtown. Because we've got 3 speakers from India and 2 from London, including myself, we've got to get US B1 visas because it's a conference. And I can only get my my interview at the US Embassy in London for September. The same with Nikki Slade, the other lady. Tarat Roy is now going in March, so we've got to get our B1 visas. But I think at least 3 or 4, hopefully all 5 will be there. I've been to the US many times. I can't see myself not going. And I've got a person sponsoring the event. The event costs $20,000 US dollars. So it's for 40 people. So it costs $500 per person. Our tickets selling for $50. So it's really it's really for free. It's just to say to people, it's just to make sure people are serious. So we want 40 people to the event on the 9th of April. It's a Saturday, to come and meet these amazing guys. I'm going to mention the other guys now, and to hear how, to hear their hunger for world peace. These are everyday people that are hungry for world peace. The next guy is myself. I'll be talking about Judaism, Christianity, about the truth. And, not to try and upset people, but we have to get to the truth. Then we're going to have 2 amazing guys. I met them in Srinagar, Kashmir, Muslims. And their names is Feroz Baz and Salam Ajis. And they'll be speaking on, you can just see on the website what they say. Both roads, they put the wording in. And Salam Ajaz grew up in the heavily disputed area of Srinagar, Kashmir, an area that is probably the world's foremost disputed piece of land after Israel-Palestine. They both are Muslims and are travel agents and love interacting with people from all other countries with different religions and cultures. They say we love to bring people close to each other and spread the message of peace. And then to finish the event off, we've got the method that I've discovered, which is that I enjoy, and it's the lazy man's meditation method, is called kirtan chanting. And the lady that says herself she's the foremost kirtan chanter in the Western world is Nikki Slade. She was at Glastonbury a few years ago. I think she's the best in the world. I've heard her chant with people around the world. She's going to be there. She's going to finish the event off, and she's going to do a few chants, and then we're going to have questions and answers. So please come and join us. 40 people that's hungry for world peace.
And this is April 9th, 2022, correct?
2022, yes.
So it's about 15 months out. So you got lots of time to get your act together to get there.
Yes, but if you want to make sure, like universe.com, which is Ticketmaster, they will only pay me the small amount of money 7 days after the event. And you can claim your money back at any time. If you want to be early, just go pay your $50, get your seat. There's only 40. And I'm not saying, you have to pay, but, it's sort of first come, first serve. But believe me, the event will happen. But if there's anything wrong, you'll definitely get your money back. But yes, please come and join us. And it's all I can, it's the butterfly effect. It's what you're doing. It's what I'm doing. What the spirit world says, I think it's only Creon says, we only need 0.5%. So out of the 8 billion people, we need 4 million people to change the world. Because of string theory, the quantum world is got completely different laws. So we don't have to change half of the 8 billion. We literally just got to change 4 million people. And, the work you're doing is just amazing. And everyone has just got to keep on plugging away, and we'll get there.
Oh, I agree. I'm excited about this work. I'm excited about the work that you're doing and this conference that you're going to have, which is April 9th, 2022. And it's called One Love or one. What's it called again?
Sorry, Kevin, you just cut out there for a second. It's the
One Souls, right? It's the One Souls.
Yeah, so the event is the One Souls event. So I see one can see the onesouls.co, One Souls with the S.co, and 9th of April, world peace, get to the truth, and let's make the world a better place. Let's make all religions relax. Let's know there can only be one creator, and let's just do it.
Well, and we could get into talking, and we're gonna have to let this go for today because I could talk to you for like hours. We've got 3 or 4 different topics that we need to address, including reincarnation and other aspects. One of which is that when you start talking about the dogma of different religions about who's going to heaven, who's going to hell, and all of those sorts of things, that all needs to get sorted out in order for us to understand that we are all one, because they teach a lot of separateness, that we're separate from each other, and some are good, some are bad, some are going to heaven, some are going to hell, and stuff. So we can't get together to be all one if we're not going to admit that we are all one. Does that make sense?
Yes. So obviously we're going to discuss it in reincarnation, but it turns out that Earth is hell. So we come for life lessons.
I can believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, yes, we have to get, I haven't got any information on that. I can ask the curator, but I know that all it's been told to me is that in the Old and New Testament, they removed reincarnation. And when we talk about reincarnation, I'll give you information again. I've given some on Talmud Germanial, but I'll say what information I got in the Old Testament. And reincarnation was removed. But there's a lot of other things we can discuss about reincarnation. And in time, I don't know how long it's going to take, maybe 50 years, reincarnation will be a known fact. It won't be something that people dispute anymore but okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Well, and if you go to on my podcast, I have something called Life Between Lives, which there's a gentleman that did hypnosis work, and he talks about what happens when we die and when we go to heaven, and the things that we do there, and it's all based on hypnotherapy and stuff. That's on Mondays, or you can just go to My Independence Report and you can look at some of those, and they're very interesting discussions. As are we're getting more scientifically sound information about reincarnation, where we come from. People are talking about past lives that are now verifiable, that these people actually did exist. and they died the way that this person said they did. People are talking in different languages. There's a lot of information there that really is true. And we'll get into reincarnation and all that next time. But I wanted to make sure that we talked about one souls, and that people prepare to go to that and create a vibrational shift in the planet. And you're right, it doesn't take 4 billion. It just takes a minute amount of people to change the vibrational structure and how we're living our lives.
Absolutely. And I can only thank you so much for having me on, and let my 7 years of work that I can expose a little bit to help world peace. And thank you for the.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Now, just so that everybody is aware, I get the fact that what we've been talking about this last hour. By the way, we're talking with Karl de Leeuw, and he is an author. He's written for it. Go to his website, which if they go to onesoul.com, one soul, is it onesoul.com?
No, onesouls.co.
Oh, okay, so the whole thing is there. Okay, so if it's one soul's duck, and then you can get more information about him. I get the fact that the information that he's talking about and that we've been sharing with you is a little, in today's world, a little out there, but I suggest that in the next 40-50 years, that's going to become a lot more of a mainstream idea, because a lot of it's going to come true. And don't you think?
Yeah, the way I put it is that if a guy like myself, coming from Pretoria, South Africa, born in the 60s in apartheid South Africa, can get it and can change his views about a lot of different things, then there is hope for humanity. And all I would say is, if someone is skeptical about this, just research it a little bit further, and don't just poo it, and go to Netflix movies like one that just come out, Surviving Death, and at the end there's a lot of things in there that I don't actually like, but the last one or two of the series, they show cases of reincarnation, but I know we can get it. So yes, but it's not, all I can say is, it's not even trying to convince people of everything. The main point is, and I'm not gay, but in the Bible, it says if you're gay, it's terrible. You're born gay. Everyone knows that. So there are mistakes in the Old and New Testament. So the main message from this is, there's one creator. Don't let mistakes in scriptures. And it's the same. It's not just the Christians and the Jews that's at fault of this. It's also Islam, because they've now 116 different Muslim sects. Don't let certain words in scriptures keep us away from world peace. And that's the main message. It's not even people believing in it. It is just know that there's this one creator.
And that's all there is. And until we, as a human race, decide that, one thing that always and we're going to go way over time, but one thing that always amazes me is that there are people that say one world government would be horrible and would be awful, but if we're all under, the gospel according to Gene Roddenberry, you know who Gene Roddenberry is?
No.
He created the Star Trek series.
Ah. Okay.
And in the 23rd century, nobody's going to have to work anymore, because everything's going to be automated, so that we can follow our passion and follow it. But we're all one. We recognize that we are all one people. We are all, it doesn't matter if you're black or white or who you love or how you love or what you do, as long as it's not illegal, that we're all one. We're all together. And
Absolutely.
that's when in order for us to get to where we need to go, we need to begin to understand that that's just the truth. That's not an opinion. That's just the truth.
Absolutely.
So,
and we're going to get there in our lifetime.
I truly hope so, because my lifetime, I'm just a touch older than you. And
well, maybe in when we finish the other three topics, we must have a chat about my other book. the Healthspring code.
Yeah, I know. We're talking with Karl de Leeuw, and thank you so much for being here, sir. I appreciate you. And yeah, we're gonna have you back, and we're gonna talk about the other pillars of what you're talking about, which is one is reincarnation, and one is health, and we'll save health for last, maybe. So, is there anything that you'd like to tell our audience at the end that you'd like them to know?
What do I want to know? Well, we've talked about world peace. We've talked about truth. The truth will set us free. That you said that who's the guy that the dream speech, Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
I also know it's obviously in the Old Testament. Anything else? Ego. The Kabbalah.com is a Jewish. The Kabbalists only came out in the last 10 years or so, and they've got different Kabbalah that I follow Kabbalah.com, and it's the secrets of the Old Testament, amazing secrets. I mean, it blew my mind. And the Kabbalists say that you've got to crush your ego. And I had my ego crushed because when my property went under, my kids could see it, and I lost everything. The Kabbalists actually, when you do Kabbalah 1, they let you go outside and make a fool of yourself so you can crush your ego. And one of the most important things to move on in life is not to have an ego. Because if you've got no pride, there's no anger. So a lot of people complain. They say, oh, this person has really upset me today. It's not that person's fault. It's your 100% fault, your free will fault. If you've got no pride, if you've got no ego, then you cannot let anyone upset you. It's like water for duck's back. So I would say crush your ego and start living. Don't worry about what people think. Start making the world a better place.
One of my favorite sayings is, it's none of my business what you think of me. So, I like that one. So anyway, we've been talking with Karl de Leeuw, and thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. And we're going to have you on again, and we're going to talk about the other things. So with that, thank you ever so much for being here. And we'll be back tomorrow at noon for another podcast. So I hope that you'll stay with us, and we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independent Truth.